Hello and welcome to an episode of Flying High with Flutter. I'm your host, Alan Wyma. Today I have Grégory Franc de I don't know if I can say that. Maybe you can give an introduction. Uh, we're in such a rush. I forgot to ask you for your title. Maybe I'll just let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi, everyone, and thanks, Alan, for having me. So my name is Grégory Franc de Ferrière. As the name sounded, I'm French, but born in the US, so I hold the dual citizenship. I lead product, so docking and wireless headsets for B2B at Logitech globally. I'm based in Hong Kong, and I've been with Logitech for about 10 years, looking after different categories. So I did speakers and took over the headset about 4 to 5 years ago, and it's becoming very more and more relevant over the last 3 to 4 years as remote working is becoming even more prominent.
Yeah, that's so you and I met at your office in Hong Kong. And as soon as you start presenting the different products that Logitech was working on, I think everybody in the room, most likely, of course, not you, were kind of shocked. Like, really, you have these things? Like, I started thinking about all the possibilities that are really interesting, and especially tech industry, it's easy for us to be remote, um, but now even other people. And I asked you to come on because so many doing Flutter work is actually working remotely, so I think that it'd be great to kind of give an introduction about this is what's actually currently out there. And you being kind of the head of this, obviously you would know the most. And yeah, that's kind of where we got started.
Sure. So I mean, Logitech historically has been very strong with personal devices. All right. I mean, Logitech was created more than 40 years ago. Our historical business has been mouse and keyboards, but over time we have extended around peripherals around computing platforms. So, computing platform has always been the platform, and we try to enhance human capabilities to provide, more. So, mouse, keyboard, webcam, speakers, headsets. So, we have really grown around that. And our view and our choices for the last several years has been to be as the Swiss of peripherals, right? Where we're like, USB standard has been great because if you're USB peripherals, you work with all platforms, right? And that has served us really well because we've got great compatibility with those platforms. Um, and we also work very closely with, Microsoft, Apple, now Zoom, Google, to really create a solution that is really well integrated. So if you look at it, we had over time a very strong B2C brand, and we have been very recognized for that. And over the last 8 or 9 years, we have shortly but surely been growing in B2B by taking the same toolkit. We started by doing a USB um, camera and speakerphone for the meeting rooms, which completely changed the status quo in the meeting room market because at the time, you had meeting rooms that cost 10,000 US plus, and nobody knew how to use them, right? And then with Teams and Zoom and Google Meet coming in, we sort of like created solution that was very affordable to change the experience in the meeting room to have video everywhere. And we sort of like has grown our B2B business to sort of create amazing experience now in the meeting room over 10 years. And now we're the leader in meeting room solutions, which means that today we really have a strong B2C arm, but a strong B2B as well. And when COVID hit about 3 years ago now, it's crazy to think about that. We sort of have suddenly has all this working from home, and 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 we sort of designed product for either office, right, B2B, or a consumer buying a mouse, keyboard, a webcam for home usage or podcasting or all that stuff. But what happens is that in early 2020, we realized that we need to design product for people working from home. And that's really where we sort of like started to ask a lot of our internal Logitech, show picture of the setup at home, like show us how you work. And we realized that we really didn't design product for people working from home. We sort of design for consumer at home and sort of B2B. So what we find out when everybody was showing the picture of their desk, what the common denominator was, it was super messy. You had cables everywhere, people was connected with adapter, and it was super messy. It was a lot of peripherals connected, so people had a webcam, so people had some like headsets, some mouse, keyboards, but also a lot of like extra peripherals like charging, and it was all differently connected to your computer. It was really messy. And you had monitor as well. And what we realized is that we needed to have like one solution that sort of integrate all that. And that's sort of how we sort of started the design of one of the key products for work from home we have today, which is called Logi Dock. So Logi Dock is actually this product here. So here it's an all-in-one. So that's basically for the one who are listening, it's an all-in-one speakerphone and docking that basically first trying to tidy up all the connection at your desk. So basically here you can connect to 5 USB peripherals. On the back you can have HDMI or DisplayPort. You can have a Bluetooth connection as well. And this really enables you to really simplify your connectivity at your desk, right? Because you sort of like put it, under your monitor, you can connect everything, you can hide the cable behind. And on top of that, what we realized, I think we had people wearing a headset like I do, because, there's a lot of people at my home. But at the same time, a lot of people have private offices, right? And they wanted to have great audio for this environment. And we sort of like created an integrated device where it has a speakerphone and together with docking stations. So simplifying, having all your connections, and create 2 devices into one. Some people had some special perk for that, while in here we integrate in that. And on top of that, what we realized, I think a lot of people were actually having a speakerphone just for calls, and then a speakerphone to listen to music. And at Logitech, the great benefit that we have is that we have a lot of history in creating amazing audio solutions. So we have the Ultimate Ears Boom team that sort of like bring, I don't know if you're familiar with like the Ultimate Ears Boom, UE Boom, but basically it's like a Bluetooth speaker that has been super popular over the years. And actually this team actually fitted a UE Mega Boom inside this little dock, which is like fairly compact. And you have amazing sounds. And then on top of that, we realize some people take headsets and speakerphone during the day, but the switching is hard, right? You have to go to your settings in Zoom or Teams and change that. So we have auto switching. So basically you can switch from speakers to headset. As long as you turn your headset on, it switch to your headset and you can switch back to your speakerphone. And then finally, in that product, what we integrated, we realized that in the meeting room about 5 years ago, we created a product called Logi Tap. Basically, you walk to a meeting room, you just click on a tablet, and then you join the meeting. In Logi Dock, you can basically join a meeting at a click. So you just basically click on the middle button that you can see here. And basically, you'll be in the meeting, whether it's a Team, Zoom, and Google Meet. And the last really cool thing that we had here is that you can turn your video on and off. So, I may have my daughter just walking into this meeting today, so I can quickly turn off my video. So that was another cool thing that we did. So I'll stop there, just see if that's something that really responded and to what you're thinking about how we think about the hybrid space.
Yeah, the Logi Dock is one of the coolest things. I think you worked particularly on it because when I went looking for more information about Logi Dock, I saw your face. I think you look much younger than you do now, but you looked a little bit younger. Maybe it was the audio or the video editing. I don't know, but I recognize you in the video. So I suppose you must have really been in the development of this product from the very beginning, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. So basically when COVID hit, it was sort of clear that we had to sort of like take work from home as a key solution to address. And Logi Dock was really our response. So yeah, I drove this from end to end. We actually shot the video in Hong Kong about 2 years ago for the launch. And yeah, we had team. I mean, we developed this. It was a pure COVID project because we had teams. So we have team in Taiwan, in the US, in Ukraine, in India. So this whole team sort of put that together over COVID, and we launched 9 months ago. So it was an amazing project.
Yeah, the thing that really interests me, so on the back of Logitech, what I like that you integrate all these features into one box. It's quite a big box, but what you get into it is quite powerful. I like having a hardware button that I can tap rather than looking for my mouse. Because first, when you're in the video, sometimes you're looking around because maybe you're trying to dozing off because the meeting is not so interesting, or you had to try to find something, and like you want to tap to turn off your video or audio for whatever reason, and you don't need to find the tab, which for me I think I have 4 or 5 Google Chrome windows right now, and each one's got about at least 20 tabs, more like 50. So finding the right tab is always annoying. So I like that I can just tap on it and get it done. The other thing that's really annoying is sometimes I have so many meetings happening, and I like that I can tap on that center button, and that'll just whip open whatever it is that I want to join. The one question I had for myself, and I'm thinking maybe other people, a lot of my clients is that they like to give me a work email on their own domain, and I'm curious if this Logidoc will actually integrate with multiple Google accounts because I know it does integrate with Google Meet. Will it actually like take a look at all my calendars and open up the right Google Meet if I tap on the button, and will actually kind of notify me that I have a meeting coming up for each single one, or does it only support one calendar for one Google account?
So the way the integration work is you have to install our software called Logitune, and you can use it with Logidock or without Logidock. And currently it's integrating either with Microsoft or Google. And at the moment, it's only with one email, so it will be only like your calendar. But in your calendar, if you have Google Meets, Teams, Zoom in events, we're gonna sort of like we're gonna get that. We do have requests from customer to have multiple account. That's something that we're looking into it, but at the moment, it's not something we have implemented yet.
Yeah, that would be huge, but I have that problem anyways, so I try to just invite myself to my main email and just to kinda help myself, so I guess that's a way around it. But I think you still have, like, that stop where if you tap it, it'll take you to the window, and then you can choose which device you wanna have, that typical Google Meet style, right? So you're still gonna get that, so you can still change your account. You can still turn off and on things before you join, right?
So you can still the experience change between platforms. So I mean, for example, if you use Zoom as an example, you have a setting in Zoom where you can sort of like join without any stops, right? Without checking your audio, or you can join with like checking your audio devices. Um, Teams, for example, you have to go to these pre-meeting platforms, right, where you can say, which audio device you want to join, and Google Meet is the same. So but you just have to at that point you just have to join in, but you have all the problems that you mentioned before, like which tab it is, which meeting it is, which meeting ID it is. Like all this is just removed. It's just simple.
Yeah. Which account and also which audio device, that's probably the most annoying. I think the Teams for me is I feel it's always difficult because they have like a double switch where sometimes they group the audio and video together. So you have to choose like custom, and then you can choose which audio or video thing you want. And they somehow they group stuff. I just as a Mac user, I'm not a big fan of Teams, but it's interesting that Teams is such a huge foothold on the market that you actually sell two different versions of Logi Dock, one with specifically for Teams and one for like everybody, including Teams. Now, what was the decision to make two different ones? I mean, is there really such a big difference for using Teams?
We are certified with Teams, Google Meet, and Zoom. And as part of the certification for Teams, it requires you to have a Teams button. So the Teams buttons give you some enhanced capability with Teams, where you can, for example, raise your hand. You can, tap to see your notification in Teams. And therefore, this button has a lot of value for a team user, but has no value to a non-Teams user. And typically, an enterprise that use Teams are very, very much in Teams world, so they really care about Teams. But if a company is not in Teams world, they really don't need that. So in order to do that, we created two SKUs, so two product lines, which is pretty much the case. If you look at audio, certified speakerphones or headset, you usually have two versions, one for Teams and one for others. And that's how the industry has been working. And it's really to make it like to limit like the space that you have on your device, and don't create like a button that has no value. That also like create confusion, because if you give it to a Zoom user Teams buttons, it's going to be like, what do I do with these buttons? So if you are using Zoom, Teams, and Google, the three platforms, we recommend to use the UC SKU because it's integrated with our Logi Tune. But if you're using just Teams and that's your environment, we recommend to use the Teams SKU.
Okay, so as somebody who doesn't often use Teams, if I did have the Teams one, it would just have an extra button on it that just was useless for me unless I have something with Teams, right? That's what I understand.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. They're the same price, I think, too, right?
No, the price is the same.
Price is the same, yeah. The other thing I think too that is also super interesting to me. So I'm the typical dongle guy. I got a dongle for everything because that's the way Tim Cook is done to us. I believe that the HDMI DisplayPort, you can actually use both of those at the same time, right? So it's not just that you can choose one or the other. You can actually have two monitors off the same Logi Dock. So that actually makes my life easier because I have two dongles, one for each output, which is good to have one different one. So I'm super happy to see something like that because it's will definitely help with cable management.
So on the multiple monitors. So what we've heard is that there is more and more people going to larger monitor, right? Like take my use case. I'm using a 35-inch monitor. I have multiple screen. I find it more flexible. But what we heard as well from a lot of customers is that monitors usually don't break. So a lot of people have like two 24-inch monitors at home, and they keep it until they break, right? So for their use case, having two monitor at the same time is great because you can have the dual connections. The decision we made in terms of having DisplayPort versus an HDMI, so the two, was because that we know a lot of enterprise are using DisplayPort to have like daisy chaining DisplayPorts. So we offer these options, or you can have HDMI. And obviously, if you want both, you can have an adapter, HDMI to DisplayPort if you have both on HDMI, but most monitors actually have multiple connections. So that was the reasoning for having the two. Just one thing to note as well is that for Mac user, having multiple monitor support requires basically we have that on our website, but basically you need like a special adapter if you want a dual monitor on Mac.
Oh, is it a special? Okay, so is that goes between the USB connection between the Logi Dock and the computer then?
No, it goes. So when you sort of connect the second computer, you're gonna need depending on what Mac you're using, but you're gonna need to have like a display link adapter that basically are gonna connect from your USB to your second monitor.
Oh, okay. I think I know what you mean. Okay. Well, it's thanks for putting it out there because I think so. With Flutter, I know you're not a tech. You don't write code, right? So with Flutter, you can write iOS and Android apps at the same time, but you need to have a Mac in order to write iOS apps. So it's good for us to know that if we want to have that support, we need to have that because I that's why I have a Mac is because of that reason. Yeah, I mean, is there anything else you want to talk about Logi Dock, or else? I mean, you guys have a huge catalog. I know this is kind of like your baby. I feel because I seen you in the video using it.
Exactly. No, I think that's really what we started with, and I think now we have sort of I'm going to sort of talk probably category by category, but if you look at your desk, right, um, we have a lot of solutions for working from home. So, starting with headset, what we launched over the last 2 or 3 years, we have really sort of expanded our portfolio to really cater multiple form factor. So, we started with a traditional on-ear headset, which we rebuilt the portfolio over the years. And then we expanded to new form factors. So, for example, we launched a true wireless for enterprise. So, in here, that's basically our solution for taking calls where we've got like noise reduction, so you can hear your voice and not all the noise around you. Great integration with Teams, Zoom, and Google. And you can have a little dongle to connect to your PC or Bluetooth. So really trying to sort of expand the form factor for people to have really great audio at home. We also expanded to this form factor, so that's what's called Zone Vibe Wireless, which we have a version out there that we launched a few months ago as well. And it's again to expand the form factor because we know people have different preferences where this goes to headset. Some people like you want to have it over the ear. Some people want, on ear. Some people want in ear. So we sort of thought we really have an offering for various customers. We also at Logitech acquired Blue microphone about 5 years ago, I believe. I don't know which one you have, but Blue microphone, like, for people that wants to have as you, right, you want to have a headphone for listening and a microphone to have like the best microphone pickup. That's also a solution we have, which is great for stream and create.
Yeah, so that's the yeah. So I have a SM7B, and then this is a Rode one, who's specifically for great audio connections, and then I go for the wired because otherwise you have a slight delay because of Bluetooth. Otherwise, I enjoy like on my desk when I'm not in a podcast recording, I have AirPods, and I just use these also for talking and everything else, because I can walk around and do whatever. As somebody who works from home like yourself, you have kids around you, but for me, I have like you said for the employees, like I have stuff everywhere and I have to sometimes get up and grab it, and I have a very short line over here, so I can't run around and grab stuff.
Exactly.
So I know what you mean. um yeah, so the Blue Yeti is a very famous microphone. I think a lot of people when they start off podcasting or even just streaming, basically everybody says just buy a Blue Yeti. It just works. But there's also a couple of kinks with a Blue Yeti. Like it's not an omnidirectional microphone. It's got a more of like a single direction, but I think it has some pickup on the outside or something. I know there's some people talking about on YouTube how to properly use it. But it is one of the more famous ones. Everybody says buy Blue Yeti. Great price, great audio out of the box, as long as you know how you're using it. And it's interesting to hear that Logitech decided to buy that. Why would they want to get into that kind of space though?
So I think Blue. I mean, if I talk back to the history of Logitech, well, over 40 years, we sort of like expanded around peripherals, and about 10 to 12 years ago, like we really focused on gaming, right? So we sort of like built the Logitech G brands, and it's a huge business for us, a huge focus for us, and the G brand is really, really, I mean, is a leader in the gaming industry, right? So on peripherals. So if you look at that, I mean, the natural expansion of that was streamer and creators. And if you look at the Blue Yeti, Blue was a perfect agency to that, because to your point, you're gaming, you're streaming, like the microphone is a perfect solution to it. It does work great out of the box, but with the software, you can customize your settings to sort of optimize it as well. So we are spending more and more investment in terms of really providing more setting with software as well.
Okay, yeah, also getting to the software so you can tweak those settings coming from the different gadgets, right? Yeah, the one thing I want to just give a small complaint about is that there's no like central hub software for Logitech. Like I have the Brio. Actually, I think I told you already. I bought two Brios for recording. I'm not using one of them at the moment. I found this one's a little bit more clear for when. I mean, initially Brio was great, but I think if you want to do really really great one, I think a lot of people go for like the what is it, the mirrorless camera. So that's what I'm trying out now. But you're using a Brio at the moment, Brio 505. I can see. Oh, sorry. Go back to my main question. I always go off topic. Is that there's so many different Logitech software to install. You got Logi Tune. You also have Logi Capture is another one, and I think there's much more than that. That's the one kind of complaint I have is I'm not too sure which one to install and when do I use which one. That's the only thing. I wish there was just one central software that manages everything for Logitech.
Yeah. So it's a fair comment. It's like we're historically a hardware company, and we sort of have grown software organically for different categories. We are trying to sort of like combine that. So if I give you a few examples, like we used to have a software for each webcam we had, right? And now Logi Tune managing headsets. We launched it 5 years ago to do for headsets. We added all the webcams. We added docking. We're about to add more categories as well for that. So we are aware of that. We are sort of working through that. But obviously it takes time to integrate all these devices because we have a lot of like historical devices. But it's a fair comment. We hear it a lot from customers, and we're trying to sort of like having less, because we understand that it's like for end user they don't really see the difference, and it's hard to understand. So it's a fair complaint.
Yeah, but I think I worked in a large company too, and everybody has their own ideas. Every company has their own thing, and saying that every camera had their own software, I'm not surprised because that
Yeah.
was what it was before. But I'm happy to hear that you guys are coming together.
Exactly. And it takes time. I mean, to your point, I mean, large corporate, I mean, we have sort of like the size to sort of really have a large portfolio. But the team has been growing pretty quickly on software. And when you test out the Logi Dock, you'll see a pretty integrated solutions. So I think to sort of like continue on the portfolio, I think webcam has been an area where we spend more of a focus. I mean, the business has been booming during COVID, right? I mean, the interesting story is that when COVID hit, I mean, we had all our people in all our offices around the world like grab all the webcams they couldn't find in the office because all their friends and family were asking for webcams. So everybody had a bunch of webcams that were giving to friends and neighbors, sort of enabled to continue to sort of work effectively, because I think suddenly like video collaboration has become so important when COVID hit, and having a camera at home was so important. So the team has been doing amazing job at sort of like refreshing the portfolio of webcams. So we announced Brio 505 about I think 5 months ago, which is the one I'm using here, which has right sight, which is basically, you were joking, Alan was saying that was a bit creepy, but in here it follows me, right? So instead of mucking around with my setting and trying to move the camera, here I can move left and right and it follows me, right? And that's something that we felt like was really cool. Like, it felt like you almost like this experience is almost natural. It's more like a movie. Like it's a bit creepy, right? Because people are not so used to sort of have this sort of experiences.
Yeah, I want to make that part clear. It's creepy because I'm just not used to it. I'm so used to
Yeah,
stationary. When I got my iPad Pro and it also does the same thing, not as good as Logitech, but I'm like, oh, that's so weird. It's like following because I feel like watched. You feel a little bit weird. At least I feel weird when it's following me. But I
yeah,
understand that it is nice people move around or whatever.
yeah. Exactly. So that's really where our webcam has been sort of refreshed. We also just announced another one about 2 weeks ago, and also like the webcam were a great expression as well of one of focus at Logitech, which is sustainability. So, for example, our webcam use a lot of post-consumer consumer plastic as well. So, and what really cool with our webcam is that we integrate that in the design. So, if you look at the Brio 505, we had a white version with some speckles around, and this is to really sort of like create some product designs that are sort of like designed with the fact that you need to use recycled plastic for it, and so that it's a lot easier when you have a bit of speckles to sort of like reuse that in the plastic, and at the same time we designed for this, so our amazing design team has sort of like make it part of the design and celebrate that instead of being something that is hidden. So the webcam has an amazing job at sort of building that up.
Or I like you also have the integrated what would you call it, cover or shield,
Yeah,
because I have the Brio. I forgot what the 4K Brio. I forgot the model number of that one. And that
yeah,
one has like you have to clip it on top and pull it up and pull it down, and sometimes it just falls down. I think it just becomes loose, or maybe I knocked it or something. Or if you lose it, and then you can't cover it. But the integration with that is really nice. This is the same one that you can detach or no? Because I just seen you push it
yeah.
down.
So this one you can detach. So you have a show mode as well. So in here, so say I can write here. So
Or
I mean
maybe you
with
can explain a little bit more for people who are only listening, because this is
yeah. So
really interesting for people who are creatives. Oh, it flips upside down too. It's got like a gyro in it.
yeah. So basically, right now it's on the top of my monitor. We have the show mode. So the use case is that, for example, we're talking about a drawing of like a system, like a system, right? So we're like, okay, what's the system architecture? So then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sort of draw some stuff, and then I'm like, oh, okay, and then let's look at it. So we don't have the integration here with the software you're using today, but with Teams, Zoom, and Google Meet, we have integration. So all I have to do is to basically put it down on my desk like this, and then basically here you're gonna see live, what I'm drawing. And what's really cool when you have the integration with Zoom, Teams, or Google is that it's basically showing that live on the main screen, and you can sort of like collaborate and show to people what you have. Instead of in the past, you would have had to sort of like move your webcam, detach it, and then after that you go back to the conversation, and then you're like, hey, what's my background? So show mode is something that has been really cool in this webcam that sort of like start to continue to help more integrations or collaboration at the desk.
Wow, that's really cool. So I don't know if this is clear for everybody if you really mentioned this or not, but one of the things that dropped my attention was that when you flip it down, it can tell that you flipped it down, and it would flip the image upside down. So when you're looking at what you're looking at, it's not like you're looking at it across the table. You're actually looking at it like if I was you, like I could see it through your
Yep.
eyes. So you don't need to worry about drawing upside down or something, or flipping the drawing around. You could just
Yep.
draw and act naturally, and it's basically people can see what you have. I mean, to be honest, like working together, working with your hands is something that you can never do when you're remote because you have a stationary webcam. But having what you have right now, I think is super powerful.
Exactly. So that's really what the team has been building on the webcam side. And I think if I continue through the portfolio, right, I mean, mouse and keyboard has been our, bread and butter over many years. And the team has done an amazing job as sort of like addressing the needs of different people. So, for example, our Ergo line has been a huge focus over the last few years. So, the logic is that, if you have a traditional mouse and keyboard that are pretty flat, like if you use it for very, very long hours, it could be really bad for your wrist. So, we've got a lab in Switzerland that's sort of like it's a bit crazy that you put like they put like sensors all around your body, but really sort of like test the tension, the pressure you have. And basically what we do is that we sort of like make it more vertical. So the angle is really optimized for your hand to not have any pressure. So you can work for very long hours. So if you look at it, right, Ergo product has been a huge benefit for some people that are really like having pain to really work and get this stuff done. Like here, you have product that really helps you to work throughout the day. So the Ergo lineups are always quite particular in terms of design. You know, it's a bit like some vertical mouse. You get some keyboards that are more like in waves. But there has been solving a lot of pain point of user who suffer when they're actually mounting keyboard.
Yeah, I hear about that. But a lot of these keyboards, they also come with like these adjustable uh, legs, right? So you're saying even that's not enough. You kind of have to go even more because they're not going to be good enough for every single person, right?
Yeah, so the legs is one thing. Here is really like we sort of like designed it so our Ergo mouse, so basically vertical mouse. So basically your hand is like this on the side. So instead of being like this, you're like this, which is a much more natural position for your hands. And from research, we have found out that it's much more less pressure on your wrist as well. And same thing for our keyboard. The keyboard is wavy, so it's basically in a shape that is really optimized for your hand positions. So it's really product designed from the ground up for ergonomy.
Yeah, it looks like it's something from science fiction. I just looked at the ergo mouse that you're talking about. It's definitely different.
It is different. You have to get used to it. But overall, it's a huge benefit for people that really have some pain. The other thing that the mountain keyboard team has been putting together is to bring more design form factors. So for coding, we have a lot more mechanical keyboard offering. So that has been in different size and form factor. We have a lot more expressive products. We bring colors, from white to rose to black to different colors to really sort of like give people more option to express themselves, right? You don't want to have a boring desk like I have, where everything is black. You want to have people that really have more colors as well. So we give these options to users, and that has been a huge success in terms of marketing because people now have options, right? And it's not like just two options. We sort of really sort of to build product that has really a lot of options in terms of what they can have in terms of color, in terms of finishing, etc.
So that's good. But the one thing I didn't see is there's no RGB. There's no like the lights. Is probably a huge one for gamers and yeah.
Yeah. So on our gaming portfolio, so we're we're number one in gaming peripherals. So in our gaming portfolio, we do have RGB lights on most of our products. And also in my past life at Logitech, we launched the first gaming speakers, the G560, that has lights on the left and right speaker as well. So yeah, we have RGB lights on basically our whole gaming portfolio. But in terms of like general consumer or enterprise customers, that's not something we focus on.
So if I want to see your gaming stuff, because I'm just looking at Logitech.com and I don't see any of the gaming stuff on here. Is it underneath another brand?
Yeah, so you've got a small. If you go to the top left of our website, we have our brands, and in here you have to click on Logitech G, and then over there you have the whole portfolio for gaming.
Okay. Yeah. Otherwise, I had no idea. I just saw the top level stuff. Okay, but the G also has that we talked about before when we were together. It was like you also have the a competing handheld video gaming console to like Steam Deck, etc. And that's called the G Force. Is that right?
Got the G Cloud.
G Cloud. Yeah. Sorry, I think I got G Force probably from the Nvidia thing. But yeah, there's G, right? So everything is Logitech G is just G probably short for gaming. I'm guessing then.
Exactly. Yeah. So the brand has been launched about 8-9 years ago, and has been built and is very very well regarded in the gaming community. So and it has been great to really have like two brands because it's like you can really, to your point, have RGB lights. You don't have to worry about having something that really works for both gamers and non-gamers. in here you can really sort of like express yourself in terms of design, in terms of solution, in terms of product really well on both sides.
Yeah, you saw you even cover the what they call game pads, the controllers. So that's good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've got driving wheels, we've got like flight simulators, we've got like our gaming portfolio is pretty extensive. And we have even farm simulator. So if you're ever interested about that, it's actually a fun one to do as well.
Are you involved in that side of the company too, or you just have interest in it?
So as I said, when I was looking after the speaker business, so desktop speaker business, we saw a big opportunity to create a gaming speaker. So we created the G560, which was a collaboration between our gaming team and our team. And we created a really cool product, which was sort of like amazing audio, but also which has the RGB lighting. So it's a great use case that when you're being chased by a car in GTA, you've got like, because the concept was pretty simple, is that if you look at a screen, you're more likely to see something on the peripheral of your screen than something in the middle of your screen. So if there's some lights moving on the side, you're more likely to see it. With a 2.1 speaker, you have perfect position to get information before. So if you look at GTA, if you start to be chased by the police, you're more likely to see the lights from the side than actually from your screen. And that's really create added value for end user.
Yeah, that's great. And you said you use some of this speaker knowledge to put into Logi Dock, right? Because that's already using. You said it's using the boom kind of speaker inside.
Yeah, so we've got another brand called Ultimate Ears that we acquired like 15 years ago, which is doing the professional ear monitor for stage, right? So we're getting a custom one. And then this has evolved into a Bluetooth speaker brand. So we're in one of the top Bluetooth speaker brands. We're the first one to launch a Fabric speakers. And, over time, this team has developed a huge audio knowledge and capabilities in making amazing audio in small form factor. So they have been using to do like, I don't know if you're familiar with the UE Boom, but basically it's like a can, like it's a big can form factor. And when I gave them like Logi Dock, which is basically a square, they were like, hey, I've got a lot of acoustic size in here because, as you may know, to get great audio and great bass, you need acoustic volume. So if you do like a cylinder, you get very little acoustic volume because you have to create a box within a cylinder. So it's not really optimized. Why I gave them like a cube like this, they were like, oh, great, I don't need much space and I can get a lot of acoustic volume. So they're really excited to sort of really get an amazing solution. So basically what we have on Logi Dock, we've got like 2 passive drivers on both sides for the bass and then 2 active drivers on front. So it has a lot in this little box and great sound. Like if you listen to music on this sound, it's pretty impressive for the size.
Yeah, I haven't heard music on it yet, but I mean, I hope it. If it has great music, then it should work great for speakerphone calls because there's quite a lot of times you have like one person per joining thing, but sometimes I have somebody next to me to join for the same call. So of course I would like to switch to something like a Logi Dock or some kind of speakerphone style thing. Yeah. What I also like about the Logi Dock too is that you can charge it directly to your Mac. So really, it's just one power cable to charge your computer and to run all this stuff for the Logi Dock. So
Yeah, and what has been great with like the USB-C standard coming in, is that charging within one cable, you got charging up to 100 watts on Logitech. We have 100 watts of charging, which works for most computers. You have like the high-end laptop that do 135 or 160 watts, but we still charge them. That even if you have a Logi Dock charging, it's still charged positively. It won't be charging as fast as a native charger, but that will be fine. And this standard for USB-C is amazing because if you look at it, right, if you have one cable to your computer, basically when I buy a new computer, I just like ignore the power supply. I just take it for travel. But basically right now, I just plug to my dock and it works. And it works with a PC, a Chrome, or a Mac. And that has been amazing that this standard sort of like remain and continue to grow.
But doesn't the Logi Dock have a proprietary charger or no? It's like a barrel charger, I believe. Or am I thinking wrong?
So you're gonna, if you charge it, I mean, you're gonna sort of like plug it to a wall charger, right? So it's charging the dock. But then with this wall charger, then your C connection from your Logi Dock to your computer or Mac will have all the charging going through it. So the single cable from your Logi Dock to your Mac will be carrying 100 watt of power, data, and a monitor.
But the wall to the dock is using a barrel charger, right? It's not using USB-C.
It's not. It's using a barrel charger. The reason for that, I think the USB-C you can get up to 100 watts at this stage. So we've got 100 watts for the computer, but we've got, I think, 240 watts because we have to power the speakerphone inside, all the rest of the good stuff we have in. So we did more than 100 watts.
I just want to make that part clear because yeah, you're talking a lot about the benefits of USB-C, but then at the same time, you kind of have the opposite. It's like, well, we're not really using USB-C to power it, but that's because of limitations, right? So I understand you're working on limitations over here.
Yeah, exactly. So the limitation of USB-C at this stage is 100 watts, right? So if you look at from the computer we get 100 watts, but after that in a dock we have much more than that. So if we were to go, we couldn't pass that through a USB-C from the dock to the wall because we just won't have enough power to go through it. We'll be limited.
Understand, yeah, but I'm sure a lot of people do complain to you. Well, how come it says it doesn't use USB-C? I have to have another charger, and this is proprietary. And I understand you can't please everybody, right?
I mean, it's just some choices, right? So when we design product, we have a lot of choices that we could have decided, as an example, right, to not provide power to the Mac, but we felt like it's more important your power charging from your wall to your dock is something you set up once and forget. So yes, you're gonna have the initial reaction of that. Oh, why isn't it a USB-C? But you will forget about it, and you see the great experience with the dock, and you're like, when you mentioned to me, you will be yes, first time. I never hear it afterwards. Like people will mention it first time they use it out of the box. Then after that, it's not a detriment to the buy or whatever.
And there also is one more caveat too that I've seen online is like they said that you cannot. So you would think that maybe you can put this thing stationary, then you can plug in USB stuff and let it charge without your computer there. But what I also saw is that you have to have your computer connected for some of the USBs to charge other devices because now USBs become a standard charging thing. So I just want to kind of lay that out there one more time because I don't want people to be surprised about that part.
Yeah, so we've got 5 USB ports, and basically to sort of like explain this, there's 2 kind of USB ports. You've got fast charging USB ports on non-fast charging. So on Logi Dock, you've got 2 fast charging, 1A, 1C, and 3 non-fast charging, right? So if you're using the fast charging with a Mac, it only charges the fast charging port when your upstream port, so your Mac is not connected. But for PC and Androids, that's a non-issue. It works across platforms.
Yeah, actually, on the outside of the box, right, is that they do have some, I think, some like lightning bolts that say which USB ports can be charged without a computer
That's
attached.
right.
So it's quite clear. So how many of that is there? It's like 2 or 3, I think, out of the 5.
So we got 2. Yeah, 2. So 1A, 1C has fast charging, and the remaining A and C has normal charging. So it's not an issue for Androids. It's only an issue for iOS.
Okay.
To talking about power, right? If you look at how much power we need in the system, so you have to reserve like 5, 7, like at least like 20 watts for each, 25 watts for each port, for all the ports that you have. So it's all adds up to the power you need to the system. So that's sort of like the fun equation that we have to go through, is that you got a lot of power coming through this device, and you have to be choiceful in which one you bring extra power, because fast charging is on this product at 7.5. But then you need to have a power supply that supports that as well. So that's part of the trade-off that we make through the development of the product.
Yeah, but even if you make it work, right, there could be a serious safety hazard, number 1. And number 2, people will be complaining, the Logi Dock is sucking so much power out of my bill. It's cost me extra $3 a month. And you can never win, right?
Yeah, we're quite so. I think two things is that I think the good thing with big companies that we've got like so many testing in labs, so we're very safe to do that. And second, like we're very power efficient, like to follow the European standard that you're power saving relatively whenever you're not in use. So we're pretty power efficient for what we do.
I understand. Yeah, but I just want to lay a couple of those caveats because I know that I did some research about these products, and those were some of the complaints. And
Yeah,
at least you answered those, and you're very direct about this is just limitations, and there's no product that can fit everything, right?
exactly.
Cool. I mean, I think we've already kind of a little bit gone over our time, but maybe there's anything else that you wanted to mention before we start to wind down. Yeah, you went over most of the categories, I think.
Yeah, I probably went over like the more classic category, but I think overall, I think the way we look at it at Logitech is I think the work from home is a huge opportunity that we only started to design for it about started 2.5 years ago. So we're just at the beginning, right? We realize that people has completely, I mean, sort of product can have the same needs like whether we work from home or not, but some products like Logi Dock as an example needed to really be rethink, right? And we're gonna sort of like have more and more focus in terms of what we sort of do a lot of marketing about the new logic of work, right? The work environment has completely changed, right? And we're gonna create more and more solutions for people working from home, and also so the aspect to it is that people are returning to the office as well. So we're also trying to create experiences when people return to the office. So one of the examples we just launched is called Logitech Sites, where you can basically have an immersive experience when people are at the office. You can have like the site in the middle of the meeting room, so I can see the same experience that we have face to face, Alan, like here in the office as well. So that's another part that we're really excited about that we're going to continue to invest.
Yeah, that center, like put in the center of the table, and then everybody can be seen, or at least two or three people, right? I thought that was a really cool demo.
Exactly. Yeah.
What I think would be a nice also thing to have would be an easy way to take and carry home like a camera. So if the company gave you a camera, you can easily take it home and then put it on your computer if you work from home. And when you go back to office, take it down, put it there. Because setting up these cameras is kind of a little bit of pain sometimes because you have to take down the cable, and then as you said before, my cable's already put together nicely in the corner, etc. So maybe some kind of dock. I don't know. You're writing down stuff, so maybe you already have something already in mind for these kind of hybrid works.
Yeah, we've got like the Mevo. I don't know if you're familiar with the Mevo camera, the multi-stream camera. I haven't tried it yet.
Oh yeah, Mevo. I wanted to try that out, but a little bit expensive because a pack of three is like $1,000 or something. It's quite expensive, but the idea is cool, and they have a battery on it and everything. They're made for like live streaming.
Yeah, so that's a Logitech brand as well, so that we own them. So it's that's what I would say is that you know typically like what we expect is like people usually have a setup, right? If you look at the camera, you got a setup at home, you got a setup at the office, and what we see that people are doing more and more hotel desking at the office, right? So it could be a shared you know setup at the office for multiple people, but it's like an optimized setup. So when you're at the office, you have an optimized setup. When you're at home, you got your dedicated setup. So that's really what I'll be thinking is that carrying a webcam around, yes, you can do it, but that's probably like I was sort of more going to mobile use case if you look at that as well.
Yeah. So I guess the traditional was everybody goes to office, then we had to go to work from home. Now we're doing hybrid slash going back to office, and but you still have like these hot desking situations, right? That's kind of the new revolution. Do you have a rough idea about how Logitech is planning to do that part? Because like you said, that's about today maybe I'm in seat A, and then tomorrow maybe in seat X. How do I handle the situation of which desk I'm going to be at?
Look, I mean, it's something we're definitely looking into. It's a very interesting space. It's completely changed in terms of how you do it, like from booking a desk, all that stuff. We're looking into it, so stay tuned. There will be some cool stuff coming in, but there's nothing to announce at the moment.
Okay. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say before we head off?
No, thank you for the time. Thank you for having me in this session. And if there's any question, I'm happy to take any.
Yeah, that was going to be my last question. Is if people wanted to get in touch with you or even somebody else from Logitech, how would they get in touch?
Yeah, so I mean, maybe just if you just reach out to you, or you forward to me, or I can share my details, whatever works best.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you can share your details here now if you like. We can also put into the show notes of the episode if you feel it. If you're not okay, if you're okay with people sending you emails or whatever.
Oh, sure. So it's gfrancdeferrière at logitech.com. So G for Grégory Franc de Ferrière in one word at logitech.com. I'm sure you put that in the notes as well.
Yeah, I will, because it's not an easy name to spell out because it's the French
It's not.
pronunciation. But I'm sure you've had quite a few interesting phone calls, especially being in Hong Kong, where traditional English, and it's like,
Yeah, indeed.
So again, thank you for your time. And yeah, I'm loving the portfolio from Logitech so far.
Cool. Thanks for that. Thanks for your time, and yeah, thanks for the conversation.